Alright guys, welcome back to today's video. In today's video, I'm taking a look here at Joe Biden's approval rating and comparing that to former presidents and seeing whether former presidents who had approval ratings similar to Joe Biden and presidents who had approval rating far above Joe Biden at this point in Joe Biden's presidency and on election day, and seeing how all of that will factor in to a Joe Biden re-election or a Trump victory. Let's get into today's video. Welcome back to today's video. In today's video, I'm taking a look here at Joe Biden's approval rating here and taking a look and comparing it to other presidents. So to begin with here, I have taken majority of these polls from 538. So all of these polls have been taken from 538. In my last video, I took a majority of the polls from Real Clear Politics, although for today's video, the need for today's video will come from Real Clear Politics. So currently, Joe Biden's approval rating is 38.7%, and his disapproval rating is 55.5%. Now let's compare that really quickly to some other presidents. In order to do that, I've taken some of this data that we have right over here with regards to the approval ratings of different presidents at this point in their presidencies, and kind of put that all together. So taking a look here at the right side of this particular spreadsheet here, we're going to take a look here at the individual presidents. So we have President Biden, Trump, Obama, W. Bush, Clinton, H.W. Bush, Reagan, and then we'll go all the way down to Carter. I did not include Gerald Ford just because of the fact that Gerald Ford did not actually have a full 4-year term. He kind of had about a 3-year term, 2.5-year term. So I did not include him, although every other president I did include since Gerald Ford. So taking a look at this here, we're taking a look here at the approval rating at this point in each of their presidencies. So at this point in Donald Trump's presidency, Donald Trump had a 42.5% approval rating. Obama had a 48.1%. George W. Bush had a 50.1%. And Clinton had a 52.5%. George H.W. Bush, 40.8%. Ronald Reagan, 54.4%. And Jimmy Carter, 55.4%. Now, depending on whether these presidents won or not. So first of all here, Trump didn't win. Obama, Bush, the second Bush, Clinton won. George H.W. Bush didn't win. Reagan won, and Carter didn't win. Now, you may be wondering why Carter had an approval rating of 54.4%. If you just take a look here at the kind of a graph to give you kind of a visual of how this was going. So basically, let me just zoom in a little bit here, just so that way it's easier for you guys to see. But taking a look at this here, Carter right now had an approval rating at this point. At this point, basically, that would be March 2nd, 1980. Carter had an approval rating of 54.2%. Although that really quickly went down. So that's why his approval rating went down really quickly, causing him to lose the election. So that would be for that. Now that's why his approval rating went down. Although, basically, when we look at every other president, what we can see is a consistent trend, and that is that presidents with an approval rating here, basically above 46, 48% here, you can see that Trump had an approval rating of 42.5%, Obama 48.1%, 50.1%, followed by 52.5%, Bush at 41%. All right. Now, that's all the interesting data, right? What's interesting here is that Joe Biden actually ends up following in last. So, out of all the last 7 presidents that we've had, besides Joe Biden, at this point in every one of their presidencies, they had an approval rating higher than Joe Biden. In fact, George H.W. Bush, who lost in a landslide to Bill Clinton in 1992, had an approval rating approximately 2.1% above Biden, right? So that is very interesting. And he lost in a landslide. Now, it is worthy to note here as well that their approval ratings did go down pretty quickly from March 2nd of their election year to the actual election in November. So, for example, Carter went down from 54.2% all the way down to 37%. George H.W. Bush went down to 34%. And that would be about it. And then Trump went down to 42%. So 42.5% to 42%. Now, the question is obviously Trump barely lost re-election, right? Trump barely lost re-election. He lost by 45,000 votes. So the question is obviously Joe Biden, looking at Trump's approval rating, is at 42%. Joe Biden would need to get an approval rating around 44, 43%. If Joe Biden can manage to get an approval rating, I think, of around 43 or 44%, Joe Biden could end up winning re-election. Now, this is obviously a general outlook. Please do not assume that Joe Biden must get an approval rating of 43% to win re-election. Obviously, we have our 6 to 7 critical swing states that are extremely important. Those states will determine the election. But in general here, taking a look at the trends, Obama, 49%, solidly won re-election. George W. Bush, 47.5%. He won re-election by a very slim margin against John Kerry. Basically, the state of Ohio and its 100,000 voters put him over the edge. Bill Clinton, 56%, won in a landslide. George H.W. Bush didn't win. Reagan won in a landslide. Carter lost at 37%. Now, it's interesting here. Biden's approval rating of 38.7%, okay? And Carter's approval rating of 37% on election day. So Carter's approval rating of 37% and Biden's approval rating of 38.7%. If Joe Biden continues to have an approval rating of 38.7% on election day, and again, this question mark is an extremely important question mark because we want to know what's Joe Biden's approval rating going to be on election day. If Joe Biden's approval rating is anywhere close to 37%, he could be going for a very abysmal track. Trump lost with an approval rating of 42%, which means that Joe Biden, even if he increases his approval rating by 3.3%, could not win re-election possibly. He would have to increase it by maybe 5% or 6% in order to win re-election. And even we look at other presidents like George W. Bush, barely won re-election, 47.5%. Okay, barely won re-election, but he had to have an approval rating of 47.5%. All right. So again, it is a hard path for President Biden. So the approval rating on election day, comparing it to the approval rating currently, right now on March 2nd, 2024, it's going to be extremely important. So he has to definitely increase his approval rating probably to 43, 44%. Definitely has to get higher than Trump. Trump lost re-election, right? But that is going to be extremely important. Now, how is he going to do that? Obviously, messaging is one thing. Doing more campaigning would be another thing. Joe Biden's doing very little campaigning. For an incumbent president, he's doing very little campaigning. It'll probably increase as the election nears on, but he has to be doing more campaigning than he's currently doing. He's not doing enough right now to win re-election whatsoever. Uh, when you look at Obama, especially Obama had a very solid re-election bid. He had a very solid campaign. Even Bill Clinton, very solid 1996 campaign, right? Ronald Reagan, I'm pretty sure it was very solid. I'm not exactly sure. But you're looking at this, Biden definitely needs to do more campaign events. He needs to be connecting with young voters, black voters, Hispanic voters, Latino voters, basically the voter group which gave Joe Biden the election in 2020. If Joe Biden's not able to do that, he's not going to win re-election. And he definitely needs to up the campaign events. He cannot be doing the number of campaign events he's doing right now. He definitely needs to up them. Some other things that he could possibly do. He has been getting rid of student loan debt. He has been tackling that particular issue by eliminating some of the student loan debt, by kind of bypassing the Supreme Court ruling and doing some stuff with that. But he definitely wants to go and do more of that, obviously, if he wants to win re-election. Another thing, maybe pass a climate change bill would probably be another thing. But just do a little bit of more stuff and then also do a little bit more campaigning. And if he were able to get an approval rating of 43, 44%, that could cross the finish line for him. And also housing affordability, things like that, inflation, stuff like that. Now, inflation has been going down more recently, although the price of food has not been that great at the same time. So that is going to be a tackling issue. All right, so Joe Biden needs an approval rating approximately 44%, possibly even upward of 45%. But that is it for today's video, guys. Like this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Make sure you like the video. This video is a bit different than most of my videos, and some of my videos from now on may be more like this type of videos, more number numerical type videos. So write it in the comment section as well if you guys want these types of videos going into the numbers and stuff like that. If you guys don't want these types of videos, make sure you write that down in the comment section below. That's the only way I'm going to know if you don't like these types of videos, if you write that down in the comment section below. But make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video if you are new or if you watched these videos before. And I'll just catch you guys next time.